So now, it's my privilege to present to you our 2021 Hall of Distinguished Alumni inductees, Howard Bailey, Michelle June James, and Dr. Rebecca Shadowin. We begin with Howard Bailey. A third-generation student from a small town in southeast Kentucky, Howard was the first in his family to attend a predominantly white university. He enrolled at WKU in 1966 as a history major, with his sights set on teaching and possibly law school. However, taking a job as a resident assistant proved to be a pivotal moment that eventually led him on a 4-decade journey in higher education. Earning his bachelor's degree in 1971 and his master's in 1973, Howard worked for 7 of WKU's 10 presidents during his 45-year professional career. He served as Assistant Dean of Student Affairs, Dean of Student Life, Associate Vice President of Student Affairs, and finally, Vice President of Student Affairs, a position he held for 8 years until his retirement in 2015. With a national reputation in student affairs and higher education, Howard was known as a hands-on administrator who built countless connections throughout the WKU family. He believes in the power of education to change lives, especially the lives of African American students. One former student and later colleague put it this way: Howard believed in you until you could believe in yourself. And even today, he continues to serve as a mentor and a friend to students and young professionals. Please turn your attention to the video screens to meet our first 2021 Hall of Distinguished Alumni inductee, Howard Bailey.
In a career that spanned 4.5 decades, Howard Bailey was known for his ability to connect with students.
I could relate to the students because of my leadership as a student, being involved in student organizations, and then being a hall director for many years, dealing with students where they are.
And he's always a teacher. And sometimes he's teaching you and you don't even know it. But you think about it later, and he's so good at seeing potential in others and then developing that potential.
Howard was born in the small town of Middlesboro, Kentucky, population 10,000. Located in the southeast part of the state, Middlesboro was wedged over in the corner between Tennessee and Virginia.
I could leave my parents' front porch and see both of the other states, and it didn't take but about a mile to walk to the other 2 states. I tell people when I'm doing race relation training, if they go home and they remember one thing, that they've seen a black hillbilly today.
Howard remembers his parents putting him in school a year early so his mom could get a job.
And I started school in a 1-room school, 1 through 8, outside toilets. We did have electricity, but no running water. And that was the way I started my formal education.
An average student with what he calls a horrendous ACT score, Howard was told by his high school guidance counselor that he wasn't college material. But some of his football teammates were being recruited by Western, and after watching the school's basketball team in the 1965 NIT, they were intrigued.
When they started seeing Western Kentucky University, Western Kentucky State College, playing in Madison Square Garden, and there was 3 or 4 black guys on the team, Clem and Greg and Dwight, Jerry Butler. It was shocking. I mean, people in black communities around the state and beyond said, where is this place?
With his sister attending college in Nashville, Howard enrolled at Western in the fall of 1966. He remembers the day his parents dropped him off.
We all pulled up in front of West Hall, and Dad helped me carry my foot locker and all my personal belongings into 101 West Hall. And he said, well, since we're over this part of the state, we're going to go to Nashville to see your sister. See you later. Good luck.
Some of that luck combined with improved study habits, and Howard began to shine. By his junior year, he had been singled out to be a resident assistant, and by his senior year, helped found the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Howard, again, was a legend in that. I think in '69, he was the original charter, one of the original charter members. And he always held the fraternity in high regard, as well as continuing that legacy of connecting with young people and young brothers as they came through each year.
Howard realized teaching was not for him the summer before he was named assistant director at the newly opened Pierce Ford Tower under Horace Schrader. Schrader then became assistant director of housing, and Howard was hired by Dean of Students Charles Cowan.
We both kept our apartments and ran PFT at night and got up and went to Weatherby and became full-time administrators during the day.
It put him on an administrative path that students crossed for the next 40-plus years.
When I came to Western in the fall of 1978, and early on in my freshman year, Howard Bailey was someone who everyone advised me to get to know and to meet. But the great thing about Howard was I didn't have to find him, he found me.
Dave and Kelly Parrott are among many former students and later colleagues who considered Howard a mentor and to this day call him an even better friend.
I'm not the first person in my family tree. I'm the first person in the whole orchard to go to college. So Howard, he may have seen that, I think, that I was just lost and needed to belong and connect, and his instincts made all the difference in the world for me.
Dave spent years in a consulting business with Howard, speaking on race relations around the country.
My dissertation is in the area of racial identity development, and of course Howard has a lifetime of experience, and we married the body of literature with Howard's experience, and we ran around and worked with university police departments, faculty groups, civic organizations, high school faculties, and so forth, and that's what we did for the longest time.
He says there's no question Howard Bailey has a major footprint nationally in the area of student affairs.
I was a hands-on administrator, and I had that kind of training. Getting the knock on the door or the phone to ring at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you go upstairs in your building and resolve a problem.
So much of it was so organic. He did not necessarily try to fit into boxes. What he did was make himself available and invest in the university and in young people in a spectacular way.
Married for the past 42 years to his wife Kayla, the two have one son, Malcolm. But his many connections through WKU are also very much part of his family.
I'm most proud of the lives that I touched. Nothing that I did, but when I see those kinds of people that I was able to enhance their career, touching those folks, I'm proud of what they have done.
2021 Hall of Distinguished Alumni inductee, Howard Bailey.
I'm going to take a little longer than after all of that, probably just should wait and sit down. Where's Dr. Craig Taylor? Craig, stand up. Craig Taylor was the first advisor to Kappa Alpha Psi on Western's campus in 1969. Not only that, but he was a faculty member and helped me. I don't know whether I deserved the grade I got, but he helped me out. if you can think 1969 and a white faculty member agrees to be the advisor to a black male organization, he took steps that none of us can ever take. Craig, thank you. I have to say, I regret, and thanks Tommy and everyone that's been here on my behalf. My wife has been in either hospital or rehab since late July. She's now at Fraser Rehab in Louisville. She took her first step on a walker yesterday in 3 months. So I'd give all of this up to have my wife home at the house. I want to thank Jenny Hensley. She, that part of the video came to Fraser Rehab and set up, and because I could not get here during working hours. But I want to thank Jenny for all of what she has tolerated and put up with me. I want to pay respect, and I guess some of you thought, okay, now you know. Yes, I'm biracial, and you saw my parents in there. I want to thank Lawrence and Jean, my parents, for what they did for me, raising me and as a mountain kid. I want to thank Dean Cowan and Horace Schrader, who passed away 2 months ago. Otherwise, he would have been in that video for sure. Reed Morgan, Jerry Wilder, Frank Moxley, and Charles Taylor, who were adult fraternity people that helped us along the way. And yes, I came to Western at age 17. My church wanted me to go to Livingston College in North Carolina and study to be a minister. And I started on a different track. I told them, hell no. But what I've been able to do is touch a lot of lives and help young people find their dream and fulfill their dream. I was asked about buildings and different things, Gary, that we did. None of that is important. It's the lives that I was able to touch. But Gary, you the one should be up here, not me. I wanted you in there on that video, but I found out that was going to be taboo. We wouldn't have survived it if we'd have got you in there. Some of the things that I encountered being an African American in this environment, I'm jotting them down. Charles English Sr. has challenged me to write a book. I got a long way to go, but I'll tell you, there's things in there like what Gil Rubel would remember when I would step out of the office to meet the parents of a white student, stick out my hand to say hello, Dr. Camoni, and they'd just leave my hand hanging there. They'd never shaken hands with an African American before. I had a meeting with the local Klansmen. They decided that they wanted to start a student chapter at Western. Did not know that the dean of students was an African American. So there have been some interesting things that I've done. All of that will be hopefully in the book. It hasn't been easy, Gary, I know, to have supported an African-American male that was a renegade and didn't always play by the rules or would rewrite the rules. And yes, I was told not to go to college. I was told that I wasn't college material. Third generation college graduate. My grandfather was a graduate of Tuskegee. My grandmother on the black side now. The white folks didn't go to college. My grandmother was an alum at Knoxville College, my grandfather at Tuskegee. And as the video said, I told her I was going to do something different. She was not pleased with that. But as of today, there are 25 members of the Bailey family who are WKU alums. So I don't know if a poor black kid with a low GPA would make it into WKU today. I don't know. I talked to CPE last week, and they told me that we're number 3 now in graduation and enrollment of African Americans. We used to be number 1, so we're going to have to get on that. Got to do something about that. I don't like being number 3. I'm going to close by saying I want to thank those 7 presidents that I worked under. I worked under 7 of the 10 presidents at WKU. And I want to thank God that none of them offered me a buyout to leave. Thank you.